Congratulations, Sandeep.
Thank you.
For the Young Alumni Achievers Award.
Thank you.
So what does the award mean to you?
Award means a lot. First of all, on the entrepreneurial journey is very uncertain. I mean, you have near-death experiences, near collapse experiences every single day, and your destination is never in sight. It is always an elusive destination. So along that uncertain journey, an award like this is a big event. It's a stabilizing event, if I may say that. And also there is a fact that recognition from this type of teacher cohort or the peer cohort definitely means something, and it's a big motivating factor for the journey ahead. So thank you for it.
Good. So you passed out in 2011.
Yes.
Right. And did you get a chance to come back to campus sometime?
Yes, I did actually almost every year. From campus I joined Amazon, and I was part of the Amazon's Pathways recruitment team. So I think almost every year from 2011 to 16 I was coming to campus for the recruitment. And after that 2016 we launched ElasticRun, and we have been very consistent recruiters. So nowadays I mean last couple of years I have not come directly for interviews, but for the initial year. So yes, I have had quite a few trips to campus post my completion.
So you've seen all the developments that have been happening, new facilities being opened up.
Yes, I think the new facility I have not seen, because this came up during the COVID and the post-COVID period. That is a blackout period. But yeah, today probably I'll take a stroll around the new campus and look at it.
What are your when you were a student over here?
Yeah.
What are some of the the fondest memories that you have from that time?
So fondest memory, see, IIMA as a institute, as a college is one thing, but IIMA as a community is I think is a beautiful concept. So while your classes finish in the early morning or early afternoon, then you do your whatever work you have to do, and then the evening the interaction starts. I mean, going on the other side of the campus to the professors' houses late in the evening, and the whole discussion goes stretching all the way till midnight, and then you coming back and then studying in your Cindy's. I think that experience only this community can provide. I mean, it's a campus that's all inclusive inside, and people are very open to interaction almost at any point of time. I think that's something unique about this place, and I cherish that.
And so the move that you made after IIMA, you obviously you mentioned you went and worked for Amazon, right? And that had to do with a related space, right? So what is it that sort of pushed you towards entrepreneurship and towards taking that plunge?
I think the goal of entrepreneurship, that itch was always there, and then when I moved from technology to going for the MBA, I think my search was not complete at that point of time. I did not know what exactly to do, and the thought process was probably MBA is what I wanted to do. And while during here at campus, I think that clarity dawned that I need to do something on the creative side. I need to build something. But again, I mean, I would have, as much as I would have loved to do something straight out of college, that was not possible at that time. So joining Amazon was a great experience. I think learned quite a lot there in terms of building businesses, and then taking the itch of entrepreneurship and the execution experience at Amazon. I think then that became a right combination to launch this venture. And
but then that was from 2011 to 2016, right?
Yes.
But 2016 was when ElasticRun started.
Yes,
right?
That's correct.
But then you must have been mulling over it for a time, and then it would have sort of developed, evolved as an idea, and and then obviously it became a unicorn in 2022.
Yeah.
But what was it at IIMA specifically that you think helped you to take that leap?
I think two things. The first and the foremost, and which I would say 90% of the contribution that or the credit I give to IIMA is this is where I really started knowing myself, at least to what you can do, what you cannot do, what you what you will strive doing, or what will keep you engaged. And that realization, and the realization that I will enjoy building something, creating something, that really happened here. I think that's a big gift from the campus. And once that click happened, post then there is an execution engine, right? I mean, before the second, the big deliverable for me, or big takeaway for me from the campus is, I came in here as a techie, as analytical as it could get, only technology, only straight line thinking. But this is where the transition happened from a analytical techie to understanding business in business terms. How do you become a more journalist? How do you understand the business from people side, society side, finance side, P&L side, operation side, all of that. And that was a second big learning. I think that though the self-realization and the transition into a more of a business personality is the takeaway from this campus.
And also, in 2016, or around the time when you were actually thinking about it, which was probably a year or two before that, like 2014, 2015. 4G had just started going into, what was expanding its reach, right? It was going into rural areas, and it wasn't quite there yet, but you could see that it's going to be a little bit more available everywhere. But from there to what form it would take, what would be the timeline, how long it will take to all that to happen, when should you start a business, and is the timing right, and all that kind of stuff is obviously there in the mix, right? So what enabled you to see an opportunity which probably others missed, right? And what gave you the confidence that yes, this is the right time, this is the time when I should start?
So I can give you a very smart answer on that we looked back onto it, thought through everything, and executed the plan, and we are where we are. None of that happened. That it's not how it has happened, or I don't think it ever happens. What we did was knowing what we know, right? We know. I knew what I can do is, I can build right technology. If there is something on the right age of the technology, that can be built. What I knew was, I understood operations. If I had to build large scale operations, I can do that. What we understood is, we could marry those two areas, that we can bring in technology, and wherever there is high scale operations involved, we can drive very large scale and very high efficiencies. Now, as combination of that, and then put together to that the dearth of infrastructure in rural market, that was the business opportunity. This was our skill set. When you put that together, you start seeing a picture that if you can put all of this together, there could be a humongous market to tap. But at no point of time the picture could be built more than 50-60%. And then there is that gut feel that will make it happen. How will make it happen, you don't know. There is no fully developed logic. It's a lot more of passion beyond that 50-60% of the data and logic, and that passion can actually burn you. I mean, you may take the plunge thinking that you will land on the other side. You may very well not land. And then there is also the factor of fortune coming in at that time when the data penetration started. That was just a lucky break. But when you put that thing together, suddenly your conviction turns into reality, and then the business arrives, then the baby is born, and then you run from there.
But I mean, from the way you explain it's obviously an humbling experience, and it's also a sort of a lesson in life, in a sense that you won't have everything, you won't have all the data, and you won't know the word "know" within quotes, as in you don't really know, in a sense, right? But you do what you do. Right, and then you proceed with in that direction. But having said that, ElasticRun, of course, has done exceptionally well. I mean, it's been the pace at which it has been growing is stunning, right? It's in like 400 plus 400 plus brands and 80,000 plus villages, 26 states, and the revenue for fiscal year 22 was roughly around 4,000 crores, and up from around 1,000 crores a year before that.
Yes.
So so that's a massive pace of growth. I mean, how do you what do you think were the key elements that enabled you to grow at that pace?
Right. So
or any focus areas maybe or particular area? What did you think you did which specifically enabled this space?
Yeah. So I think, see, a couple of areas. So first of all, the market that you are targeting has to be large enough. Or in our case, that's a huge market. I mean, even if you want to build a $50 billion, $100 billion company, that market allows you to build that. So that potential has to be there. And the second area is one needs to know what you can solve for, right? I mean, as I said earlier, what we knew was operations, what we knew was technology. If there was a game to be played which was heavily marketing oriented, we probably would have lost that match. But if you can win certain business through hardcore execution, high skill execution, extremely low cost execution, then you know that's your strength. And that lies into this market of B2B, going deeper, where you can outcompete anyone through your execution skill. I think we stuck to our guns into that market, always leverage that operation technology and operation skill set as our ticket, and played into the domain where we could establish the product market fit. We could establish the unit economics. Once that is established, then from taking that unit economics to a very large scale, multiplying that in tens and hundreds of time that's the next level of ability, that can you really scale the business. So in short, knowing the size of the market, B, knowing what strengths you have, what you cannot play, and third, then doubling down on those strengths only to make sure that you win the market. I think those are three areas I would say that helped us to win that market, or at least start winning in that market. We are nowhere close to the end game yet.
And the other side of all this success is, of course, all the challenges that you had to overcome.
Yes.
Right? What were some of the most formidable challenges that you did at that point in time, and how the nature of those challenges have changed now? How is it that you are looking at? What are the major challenges that you're looking at now? Some of those may not be relevant. Some of those may have probably become more accentuated now.
Got it. So I think as an entrepreneur, as a builder of an organization, I think that is every day a new problem. That's the biggest challenge of the business. That's the biggest fun of building something. So I think a big battle has to be fought on the personal level, that you personally transition into so many states. When you have a concept, then you are selling it to yourself, or you're selling it to the world. You don't know you're trying to figure out if the product actually works. When the product works, then you're thinking, can I really scale this? The moment you try to go to scale, your hat is very, very different. None of the earlier skill set matters when you're scaling. When you're scaled, then you have to really think about, how do I make it economically viable? I mean, it was viable at a small unit, but is it going to be viable at a large scale? Then you become, that's a completely different person altogether. The earlier two skill sets are not necessarily applicable here. Once that is done, then the fourth stage, at least I have seen is the organization building ability, that you yourself can build a product, you yourself can scale the product, but can you build really an organization that can keep building this product and keep scaling this? That's a completely different skill set. And I think that's where the founder can be the biggest bottleneck of the organization. If I can't, or the founder cannot transition into those roles, then the organization will come to standstill, and maybe it will get into something. I think that's the most formidable challenge that I think any founder has to live day in, day out, to how do we come. And then there are several other very, very business specific problems. What I earlier just now talked about is very personal challenge, but then the business challenge is there, that as a founder, you are always salesman. You're either selling it to customers, you're selling it to prospective employees, you're selling it to someone else, to the wider society, that to buy into your dream, and then they all come along, and you're doing that always with less than half of the resources that you should have. So how do you recruit the first employee? How do you get the first customer? How do you get the first investor? How do you get the next large investor? I think those are the really the challenges that are from a founder's point of view.
Yeah, and something that I think you didn't mention, but I'm sure that's an important element of the solution that you are obviously bringing on the board, which is obviously hiring right.
Yes.
Because you want the right kind of people at the right kind of with the right kind of skill sets at the right point in time, right?
Yeah.
Because the role itself and the stage in which the company itself is changing so rapidly that you need different skill sets at different points in time, right? So what are the key elements of that? I mean, how do you make sure that you are hiring right?
See, I think what has worked for us, if you look at our even the top 100 leadership, that the team has stayed as it is. I mean, it's as coherent team as you would find it. It's the same team that you would have seen 5 years ago. It's the same team that you would see here today. So the two common characteristics that we have seen emerge out of that is, one is we focus very specific on the individual. That whole missionary versus mercenary goal, that if you have to create something so large, your technical skill set, to be frank, does not matter as much as what your personal passion is. So anyone we hired in the top leadership position, they always had something that they strived for. They had some passion for something, and the passion could be for anything. Could be writing a book, could be going around the world, or building a business or something. If you have that passion, and we believe that we as an organization, if we can unlock that passion of the person, let them live that passion through the company, then there is no separation of the individual and the organization. You don't have to motivate that person. You don't have to tell them to do it. Then that person is self-propelled. And I think that band of self-propelled leader is what is at the core of the organization and the philosophy and building. And the second point is, you may have the passion, but you also have to have certain problem solving abilities. Again, this has nothing to do with technical skill set, but given a problem, if you go to a completely new country where you don't know the language, you don't know anything, will you come out of that? A problem solver will figure out a way, right? So that ability to problem solve analytically, add to that the core passion to excel, I think those two things put together is a great combination that has worked for us. And I think that's the bare minimum that we look at. If these things are missing, then we may not have much to offer to the candidate. And that you could see from the consistent hiring that we have done from this campus. None of the candidates that we hired have done anything related to the job that they are doing in their past life. I mean, they have completely changed their domains, completely changed their subjects or whatever. They might have thought they will be doing ABC, and they're doing XYZ. So, but that's how it works. That's where the excelling happens.
So what's the total team size now? And if you have a rough estimate of how many from IIMA are part of your team?
Oh yes, we have. I mean, just last 7 years, I think fresh hiring we would have done maybe 10 odd from campus, and in the top leadership we are I think 6 odd. So just within from PGPX family, we should be around 13-14 people in the company. So that's a pretty large cohort, right from X5 onward till the latest batch. Even there is one person who joined from the last batch. I think the team size is fairly large for us overall, but the way we measure our team size is, we are ultimately a crowdsourced network. So more than our employees, it is how many partners that we can unlock and bring them on platform to work is an important figure. And that number works anywhere between 50,000 to 70,000 on any given day. And those many formal employment opportunities got created on the platform, and that will keep scaling as we go.
And so what's your, so like you mentioned, there are two ways in which people engage. One is obviously directly participating, as a ElasticRun employee, but also as a partner,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
So what does the pipeline look like for both of those tracks let's say within the next 6 months to 1 year?
So the partner pipeline will continue to grow. It's linear to the business, right? I mean, we have a goal to hit the $10 billion revenue number over next 4.5, maybe 5 years now. So partner ecosystem will grow linearly with that. So today, if you are at 50,000, we may hit around 4 lakh people onto the platform on that side. On the employee side, the team will not linearly. I mean, there will be some increase, but our own team is a very leveraged team. I mean, these are all thinker team, right? One person will come in and unlock the next 3x, 4x, 5x of the growth. So from a team headcount perspective, we probably will grow 1.5 times to deliver that 10x growth, but the partner ecosystem will grow fully.
And with this growth, how has the rest of the functions or the rest of the metrics of the growth of ElasticRun has panned out? As in, Are you facing any pressures, financial pressures from different, metrics from different sides of the growth, the things that usually come with growth? For example, have you maintained the unit economics? Have you, what kind of, expenditures have grown up? What kind of cost pressures that you're facing? How do you manage all of that? Where are you with that now, and how do you manage that?
So, see, I would call it pressure. I mean, why are you building the business? I mean, the building a business is a financial machine. It has to generate profit. It has to generate cash flows. That means it has to increase its revenue. It has to continuously reduce its cost. And I mean, no one builds the business only for the fun of having a technology disruption, right? Until it fits into this parameter, it will not be a business. It just so happens that when you are in the early days, when you are establishing the product market fit, you are establishing the scale, these parameters may not be the priority at that time, but you always know at the end of the day, this is what one has to deliver. So the journey always bakes that in. But the paths keep changing. Like today, I think profitability is a big theme of the whole ecosystem. So generally, the overall Indian ecosystem would have always balanced between growth and profitability. Deliver growth first, then profitability, and then probably some more growth. Today, that paradigm is tilting towards get the profitability ahead of the growth. It's okay to have modest growth in the early days, but the profitability is important, then you continue to scale. So those push and pull that you have to keep playing. What is important is for you to know, for us to know that what is the destination. When we reach the destination, we have to deliver these financial metrics. Now we may work on the priorities depending on how the market is operating.
So, I mean, you preempted me with one of the questions, and the next one that I was going to ask was about the path to profitability, right? So obviously, you partly answered the question in the sense that there is a sense in which the way the Indian startup ecosystem was looking at it, and now that's sort of tilting. But what sort of path to profitability makes sense for ElasticRun in particular? Yeah.
So see, from path to profitability, there are two parts to the equation. Can you deliver unit economics profitability, right? I mean, unless that is true, everything else goes out of the window. So that has to be there, and I think that has been our core strength, and we have stayed true to that. Then the point number two is beyond unit economics. When you scale, can you scale profitability or deliver profitability at the end of the scale, so on and so forth. And because we are sorted on the unit economics side, the equation that we need to sort is tomorrow when I have to deliver $10 billion in the sales, which is 10x growth from where we are today, along the journey, when do I turn profitable? And it's the question of throttling between growth percentages and the profitability percentage. I can stall the growth completely, turn profitable now, and then deliver on the GMV, but that will be too brutal a decision because then you will let go the large market and you will slow down the momentum. Then how do we taper down the growth percentages and get the profitability first? I think it's a fine balance that will keep playing. But yes, the ecosystem has definitely changed where the statement that okay, we will scale first and then become profitable, that may not be so palatable at this point of time. The profitability has to be delivered somewhere earlier in the game now before you fully deliver the full scale.
And of course, in this journey, you have had the support of many marquee VCs, right? You have SoftBank, Goldman Sachs, but then earlier you also had Kalari Capital and Northwest Ventures of Tar Ventures, and they've been fairly. You've done the Series E round, so you've had all the previous rounds, and you've had support throughout.
Yes.
Whenever you've needed a fund infusion, you've had that. But those are just financial commitments, right? But then more than that, they also bring a lot of other things to the table. So how did they support you in addition to just the funds infusion?
I think, yes, great question first of all. See, from a fund perspective, after a certain point, there is enough options available for a right business case. If the business case is not fundable, it is not fundable. But if you get one term sheet, there's a good chance that you probably will get second and third term sheet. And that is when your I mean, the comparison of what is the quality of the two investors really matters, and what they bring to the table really matters. So that way we have been, I think, very fortunate in terms of our early stage investors. They had a very mature ecosystem of hand-holding an entrepreneur. Like in our case, what happened is, okay, you focus on your business. We know this is your game, and we'll play that. But we also know you are not a finance person, you are not a compliance person, you are not an HR person, and we have the shared functions here who will make sure that these sanity things are put in place for you. You also don't have any contracts with the cloud providers. We as a VC company have that structure in place, and it will help you, and that really helps. I mean, you get some headway going into the early days there, and that keeps happening at different times. I mean, you go to Series B and C, and I think we have some great investors who had but a very lateral view of things. They will really help you hash out your strategy purely from a vision and a very romantic view of an entrepreneur, to bringing you to the ground and say, okay, this is how the industry works, this is how competition will look at you, this is how other investors will look at you. So giving that strategic point of view, I think that was the second great input that we received from say the mid-tier VCs. And the late-tier VCs, I think they bring in a completely different mindset. I mean, the recent investors that we have on board are true blue P kind of investor, right? I like you asked a question. A business is ultimately a financial engine. It has to become, and they bring in that mindset, which is very good, because you get to see the picture right now. That the question that you are going to get asked 2-3 years down the line on the financial effectiveness of the company, those get asked right away. And I think that's where the true value of the investor come in, that they really prepare you for the future, and avoid any sudden accidents or any sudden surprises 1-2-3 years out. So that way we have been, I think, fortunate to have a great board, great set of investors that has helped us right in the early days to the scale-up days to the current stage where the company is.
And for a budding entrepreneur, what would you advise in terms of when they want to engage with these VCs and PEs? What would your advice be?
Oh, that's a very, very vast subject, and it can become a session of its own. But see, what I learned is VCs are financial investors. I think that is the most sorted cohort that I have seen. I mean, their intentions are very clear, and they are stated intentions. So there is no ambiguity in a VC is looking for making multiple returns on their investment, and they would want you to build an organization or company that will deliver that. That clarity is actually very, very useful. I mean, it's difficult to implement that when you are engaging with them. But if the product that one is thinking about has that ability, has that opportunity to scale to a large scale, to a large level, and if you can demonstrate that, portray that, build models around that, then I think you have good chance of engaging with the outside VC community. And once they are in, I think then the best way to operate is the consistency of the metrics delivery. Till the time the metrics are sticking to the commitment, then I think that probably is the most sorted core to work with.
So of course, technology is at the core of what you do. Could you share a little bit about some of the technological innovations that ElasticRun has done, and also what are the sort of transformative impact that it has had on your business?
Yes, so see, one of the areas that does not, we also don't talk about, does not get talked about, is the actual impact of the platform that we have built. There is one manufacturer of baby diapers who was fairly low, on the lower side in terms of the market share ownership. We tied up with them. We came up with a small sachet kind of product of 5 rupees, 10 rupees diaper sachet, and we took it to the rural market. The product went crazy viral. I mean, no one ever thought that a premium product like a baby diaper could be such a super hit in rural market. So while the brand won on the of course the business P&L, it's the end consumer who never had access to a product like diaper That access got enabled only because there was a technology solution which could make that reach happen to the deepest part of the country at such a low cost. Second example, we worked with one of the toilet cleaning manufacturer to create that 5 rupees packet to take it to the deep rural market, and the same thing happened. The product just hit virality and it just went through the roof. And again, while there is a financial benefit of it, there's also a great benefit that a hygiene product that was never available to that deep rural market that got unlocked. And that's from a customer side. Purely from a partner side, when I said that around anywhere between 50 to 70,000 partners work onto the platform, these are the people who have never seen any sort of formal income. I mean, they have been working and they have been earning their livelihood in the rural market through some informal channels. After they have started working with us, right on the first of the month or the committed date to them, there is a credit happening to their bank account. Their financial history is getting built like they are any salaried person. Very low amount compared to what a salaried person earns, but the consistency of payment have helped build them their own financial profile. That's a big transformation happening. There are a whole host of partners who would not have had the opportunity to work in any, earning money is one part, but having access to earning opportunities is a big change that we have driven. I think the third big shift that is happening and we are trying to quantify and measure that is the whole carbon footprint reduction. I mean, every time we go to a particular village, we represent a large set of Indian brands, and that gets fulfilled through one single truck going into that market. If it was not for us, or in future, if all of these brands have to go to that market, that whole ecosystem will be substantially inefficient. I mean, everyone will make money, but purely from the utilization perspective, from the diesel consumption perspective, that will be a massive footprint. And what we have been able to drive there is a substantial change. So I think those 2-3 areas are, how do we improve the lives of the customer, how do we improve the lives of our partner, and how do we create a positive impact on the environment. I think those 3 changes are direct output of technology. So it is not only a fancy technology to have, you can see the financial as well as the societal impact of that.
And behind all of this, of course, behind all this innovation, there must be a concerted effort on innovation within the organization, yes. Right? And ElasticRun has obviously filed many patents in India and abroad as well. How do you maintain that ecosystem of innovation and research and development within the organization?
So I may not use the heavy words like research and development, but what definitely works is, as I said earlier, what do we hire for, right? You hire for problem solver and passionate people who really want to do something really, really big. If you have that right team, they themselves are not going to stay silent. They are going to go after really hard problems. And once you hire those people, then the second structure is the whole how do you create the culture of the organization, right? And the culture of the organization is, if you are solving a problem, no one is going to come in between your way. No one is going to ask you, why are you doing this, why are you not doing this. Generally, people who would figure out a way and scale, they are given almost unlimited autonomy to run on their businesses. I think that hiring and the culture of autonomy and the brutal meritocracy, if you put that thing together, people themselves bring in a whole host of innovation every single day. Rather, the challenge for us, I would say, would be how many innovation you can take on plate so that you can meaningfully execute on them. But I think the structure works because of the hiring practice and the culture of the organization. And then from that time onward, you have to pick and choose the impactful innovations and build on them.
So what are the steps that ElasticRun is taking to keep itself at the forefront of the next wave or the next phase of development for ElasticRun itself? I mean, the market is evolving as well, yeah. But where do you see yourself in maybe taking the right steps to be at a place where you can take advantage of some of the changes that are happening? So what are some of the important steps that ElasticRun has taken to make sure that it is at the at the right place at the right time and with the right capabilities?
Right. So I think to be at the right place at the right time, I think we have had that fortune for last some time now, and we have benefited from that. I think the point really is, can we really build the capabilities from here onward to really deliver and live up to our full potential? So as I said earlier, the challenge for us is not if the market is there, can it be profitably served, can it be scaled? That the challenge for us is really about organization building. That if you have to build a $10 billion platform over next 4.5 years, and then even look at have a vision of $100 billion platform, it will be about building the organization that can really execute this, because the founders and the core team can only do so much. So how, like earlier you asked the question, how do you build a structure that the innovation continues? So how do you build a structure, how do you build an organization that continues to innovate on its own and continue to scale on its own? I think that is the next biggest capability building challenge for us. It's as much of an organizational challenge, it is not as much of a technology challenge, and that's why it's amorphous for us. We are not, it's not an analytical problem to solve, but that is the biggest problem to solve. But if you are able to solve that, then I think the market is big enough for us to really scale to a large scale.
And so how do you see ElasticRun evolving now? Right? What's the sort of vision that you have?
Yes.
It's not just ElasticRun as an organization, but some of the things are obviously out there. It has been shared. It's in the public domain. But what I really want to do is sort of get a peek into your thoughts to see what you feel, what do you feel should be done in the next few years? Where do you see ElasticRun being in the next few years? Or what are your aspirational goals, in a sense, where you want it to be?
So at this point of time, the truly aspirational goal is, can we become the de facto railroads of Indian rural consumption? So today, if you talk about say e-commerce or FMCG, we are generally the largest and the de facto partner for anyone to go to the deep rural markets of the country. We are synonymous with that reach. And the same platform we can take to add so many categories. I can take pharma, general merchandise, clothing, electricals, hardware. I don't know how to solve for those categories. We have not done that. But we have the raw material. We have the infrastructure connecting to that market. And if somehow, it's not somehow, I mean, so we'll have to go one category at a time. If we are able to take all of these and take that to every single village in the country, then I think we have a true shot at becoming that $100 billion platform. Or forget the numerical value of that, but making a tangible impact on the rural consumption or rural consumers' life, as much to say. It's a massive goal. We don't know. I don't know if we'll ever be able to reach there, but it's a constant work in progress, and that's the propelling thought process, and we'll keep working on that.
So, ElasticRun started in 2016, of course, but like we discussed, the thought process of it and everything else started the planning process started a little before that. But around that time, 14, 15, 16, the startup ecosystem was very different from what it is now.
Yeah.
It's, there is still a lot, that needs to be done, but it's evolved a lot, orders of magnitude, development that has happened. So what would you have done differently had, maybe if you had started a little later, or if the ecosystem existed at the time that, the way it is now, it existed at that point in time? What would you have done differently? Because there are so many other elements, there are so many other investors in the market now, there are so many other government schemes, there are so many incentives, there are so many other things that are there that are available to startups now which were not there at that point in time. So what would you have done differently?
See, when you say the ecosystem is developed, it's a two-pronged thing. How structured the funding ecosystem is, right? I think it's a lot more structured now. I mean, if one has to go for funding, it's a fairly well sorted out problem. You get the funding, you not get the funding, it's a different outcome, but everyone knows what path to follow. I think that path was not so clear earlier. There was some subjectivity, there was some relationship angle or some impression angle that is fairly sorted out now. And the second part is, what is the quantum of funding that is coming in? I think if this ecosystem was to be evolved little earlier, we probably would have had funding coming in little earlier. I mean, every time you go through a round, you go to 10, 20, 30, 40 pitches, depending on how you're that time you could have shrunk, and we could have invested that time more on the business. That's the only change that would have happened. But I would really not change anything in the business because more capital is available. It's see the you may have more capital, but the business takes its own time, and the product market fit does take X amount of time to establish. You can't build a team in any negative time frame. It needs certain time to. So there is that bake-in period that needed from building a product to building a team to scaling that, and then taking the necessary money to scale. But I think the ecosystem is solving for itself now. Where we see today is the first part, that the ease of access to the VC ecosystem is sorted, and that easy availability of lot of money has also gone out of market now. So I think what will emerge in 2023 or 2024 would be little more more calmer markets, if I may say that. But yeah, to go back to your points earlier, had this ecosystem existed earlier, we probably would have gained 3-4 months extra in the overall execution journey.
What would your advice be to somebody, wanting to walk in your steps, right? Wanting to, start a startup, or take the plunge into entrepreneurship, or
So I'll talk about my journey, right? I always wanted to do entrepreneurship. So I could not figure it out earlier that I really want to do this thing. And B, when I had my clarity of thought, this is what I wanted to do. I think I was telling some stories to myself, I had to do a job for some time because I had to learn this. I had to do the job because I have this. I had to do the job. I think that is just dithering on the decision that one has to make. My advice to myself, if I had to redo it again, then just do it. Then don't do it. Those are just escape routes that we keep telling ourselves, or at least I was telling myself, that if I have more experience, I'll be better suited for entrepreneurship. It does not work like that. As I said, even in my job profile, what I did last year has no correlation to do what I'm doing this year. So even if you work for 5 years in some organized setup, it has very little takeaway when you launch, because you almost have to build everything from scratch, learn yourself. So you might as well do that straight off the bat. And second is, I think we give too much of importance to risk, to the financial risk. Of course, there is a risk, and one has to be cognizant of that. But it's not as bad. I mean, by working for 5 extra years, was there really a meaningful change in financially in life that this entrepreneurship decision would have changed? Probably not. Again, both things point to the same conclusion, that if you want to do it now. There's absolutely nothing that you gain by postponing the decision.
Well, Sandeep, it was great talking to you, and it was a
Thanks
pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
I'm sure a lot of students and everybody else listening to this, seeing this video, would be inspired by what you said, and will also feel empowered by, if you just want to do it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only way.
That's the only way. And great pleasure, seeing you and having you back on campus.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations
Thanks
again.
a lot.
Yeah.
See.